In this solution track session, from open banking to open finance to open everything, you'll hear how open banking is transforming the banking industry and how APIs are at the heart of the solution. I'm sure you are looking forward to hearing from a company that's met the complexity of open banking head on. For this hot innovative topic, Eyal Savan, Axway's head of open banking, and Karen Holmes, Axway's product marketing director, will be our hosts, while welcoming Danilo Branco, head of APIs and integration, BNP Paribas Personal Finance Brazil. Eyal and Karen, we're looking forward to leveling up. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. I'm Eyal Savan, head of open banking at Axway. You may know me from my podcast, Mr. Open Banking, where I interview leaders in the open banking space from all around the world. It's been a great run. We're in season 2 of the show. If you like open banking, I invite you to listen. And that's where our presentation today begins. What we like to say on the show is that open banking is forever changing how we interact with our money. Let's face it, this isn't social media. We're not talking about your cat pictures or your cool Instagram photos. This is your money. And when you deal with people's money, they rightfully expect certain controls and protections to be in place. And that's what makes open banking such a big deal. This is an entirely new class of open data. The market is starting to recognize that opportunity, which is nothing less than the future of banking. If you look at the estimated open banking market size, we're expected to get to $43 billion by 2026. However, even that number is tiny compared to the $60 trillion worth of value that McKinsey estimates is being transferred from traditional sectors to digital equivalents. We're living through this transformation all around us. You can see it happening. And if anything, COVID and the lockdowns have accelerated this push to move from traditional economy to digital players. The largest companies in the world are now digital, and everyone else is playing catch up. It's our belief that the banks who play their cards right and position themselves correctly will become the foundation of the economy of the 21st century that we are now witnessing being built. However, only 10% of API programs actually generate value from this ecosystem model today. So what this tells us is there's an enormous transformation taking place, which creates an enormous opportunity, but it's very early days. Very few firms actually take advantage of the opportunity today, which means the ecosystem model is still in its infancy. If there's a single word that describes this transformation that's taking place, it is the word platform. All over the world, banks are self-declaring that they are now banking platforms, or the closely related bank as a platform or bank as a service. No matter what it's called, it always means the same thing. The bank is going to take their capabilities, expose them as APIs, invite third-party developers to come and build amazing new digital experiences on top of those APIs and extend the bank's reach, thereby creating an ecosystem of developers around that bank's platform. This is not unique to a particular region. It's happening globally, and it's happening at a staggering pace. At the end of 2020, we reached 563 self-declared open banking platforms around the world. Almost 3,500 open banking products, which is to say APIs. But the really striking number is the growth rate, 381% annual growth rate. And that number continues to rise. It's absolutely shocking to see the change from when I started presenting this data to today, where the number is growing at such an extreme rate. Make no mistake, this transition to banking platforms was happening before open banking, but now that open banking has shown up in earnest, it has really poured fuel on that fire and accelerated the whole process. But all of this begs the question, what exactly is open banking? It's surprising to me, even several years into this, how much confusion there is around this seemingly obvious question. A lot of banks like to say, well, I do APIs, so I do open banking. I'm afraid APIs alone do not qualify as open banking. Banks have been doing APIs for decades. Since they introduced their very first systems, they needed APIs to let them talk to each other. But when you have a special project to work with another firm's proprietary, outdated APIs, well, that's not really open banking, that's partner banking or B2B. Over the past decade, a lot of banks have taken a major step past that and moved to open APIs. This typically means the bank will publish some sort of developer portal at developer.bankname.com and publish some APIs there. Open, free for developers to come and use and build things with. This is indeed in the right direction. You're starting to build that ecosystem around the bank's platform. You're exposing your capabilities and allowing them to be leveraged sight unseen. But it's not quite open banking. And the reason it's not open banking is because open banking only shows up when the entire financial ecosystem agrees on a common standard. A common, shared, open standard for the secure exchange of financial data. So that when you call for account details or a list of transactions or to issue a payment, you can call any institution in the ecosystem using the same APIs. Now, note that I did not use the word regulation or government in my definition of open banking. Indeed, there are some open banking regimes that are regulatory driven, but there are other open banking efforts that are driven by market forces and consortia. However, whether you are regulatory driven or market driven, you end up at the same destination, a common, open, shared standard for the secure exchange of financial data. Now, at this point, a lot of banks like to talk business models. They want someone to predict the future for them and tell them exactly where they are going to be positioned in this open future and how they should run this new kind of business. There are indeed a lot of interesting conversations to be had on this subject. The idea of banking becoming a sort of marketplace, the repositioning of incumbents as utilities or aggregators or suppliers, trying to understand how to properly unbundle your lines of business and existing products and capabilities to facilitate this kind of transformation. But there's a common thread that ties all of these different business models together. And that common thread is what I like to call the real challenge. It's become very popular for banks to say APIs are products, and it's the right thing to say. But very few banks out there are willing to take the next logical step. And that next logical step is the real challenge. If APIs are products, well then, what is the single most important customer segment as you move into the 21st century? The answer must be developers. If APIs are products, then you have to start treating developers the way you treat any other customer, like those looking for credit cards or mortgages. Developers in the end are the kingmakers. They will decide which banks succeed and which banks fail. So catering to them, giving them the right environment to thrive, and building that ecosystem with them in mind is the key to open banking success. However, open banking is not without its technical challenges. And that's where Axway comes in. We're bringing a solution to market that's going to take out all the technical complexity from creating that developer environment to let you focus on what makes your bank unique. What is our solution? It's an open banking accelerator based on a proven, robust integration platform, which allows our clients to quickly and easily publish open banking APIs and build a healthy ecosystem of third-party developers around them. Now note that I didn't highlight easily publish open banking APIs because this is not about compliance. This is about building that healthy ecosystem, moving beyond compliance to embrace developers and extend the bank's reach to make sure they are ready for the future. Our solution is called Axway Open Banking. It focuses on 4 key feature sets. Number 1, an intuitive developer experience, which is clear and delightful and helps developers get productive as quickly as possible with the least amount of friction. Number 2, pre-built open banking APIs specific to your region out of the box. Whatever standard your region is adopting, we will implement those APIs for you in a full stack with a persistence layer underneath. Number 3, a comprehensive implementation that focuses on security, identity, and consent, the hardest parts of the open banking puzzle, built for you, already integrated out of the box. And number 4, our hybrid integration platform, Amplify, that allows you to take all of your existing systems, whether batch, mainframe, SOA, all the way up to microservices and service mesh, a single pane of glass, a single management plane, and tie them to the open banking edge, giving you a complete, comprehensive solution. I like to say that if you look at the market, you might find competitors who do some of the things that we offer, but I challenge you to find anyone who gives you everything in a single cohesive whole right out of the box. What makes this all possible is the power of Amplify, a critical part of your open banking solution. Amplify allows you to take all of your systems and put them in that single pane of glass that we call a management plane. If you imagine that all of your gateways and queues and batch systems are different kinds of control planes, a management plane gives you the governance and observability features that you need to manage all of those disparate integration assets. We acknowledge that we now live in a multi-gateway world. As firms innovate and move faster and faster, they're going to add more gateways and more control planes. Amplify lets you wrap your arms around all of that sprawl and corral it and control it and leverage it. It's not enough to just implement open banking at the edge. What you'll find is, even if you succeed in publishing the APIs and building the community, if you haven't cleaned up your systems under the hood, well, then all you're going to end up with is a bunch of disappointed developers. As your ecosystem starts to grow and scale, you need to control this innovation sprawl, and that's what Amplify is there to do. As we bring our solution to market, we are engaging customers early and often. We have a very unique engagement strategy. Our CEO, Patrick Donovan, was crystal clear with us. Do not build this thing in a lab. Make sure that what you're doing is real and solves real problems for our clients. So that's what we've done. Our goal is to engage regional partners all around the world, show them what we've built, make sure that it in fact hits those 4 key pillars that I identified earlier, and lets us know if we've missed anything and where the solution can improve. The region that we've started with is Brazil. We consider it the most dynamic open banking environment in the world, and we're proud to engage with the banks down there to make sure that they succeed in their open banking journeys. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear from one of our early clients who's participating in our program right now.
Welcome to the Open Banking, Open Everything session. Today, I'm going to have a little conversation with Danilo Blanco. Danilo is a leader of the BNP Personal Finance in Brazil. And Danilo, nice to see you. And I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your role. I know you wear 2 hats, and kind of tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, thank you, Karen. It's a very pleasure for me to be here with you. So, talking about me, I'm from BNP. I'm in the market, the financial market, about 10 years. So I work with the open banking. I'm leader for the APIs, the API development, the open bank initiative in the bank, and I also participated with the central bank of the working groups and the definitions of our open banking here.
That's great. So, in the bank, what are the open banking business priorities within BNP in Brazil?
As the first one, we are looking for the compliance, so the regulations. It's the first approach for almost every institution here. It's just because we need to do this as soon as possible. But when you look forward, we are looking for business. It's just because we see in these ecosystems the opportunity to leverage our business to see more than just data. It's more about know our customers, our behaviors, and set the right product for the right person. It's where our business are looking for.
So kind of expanding the ecosystem maybe to reach your customers in new ways, perhaps?
Yes, it's the opportunity because now we do this, but we do it in the small scale. So we do this with our B2B partners. And be part of the open banking, this can be really open. So we can bring it with us more than just a few players, but all players in the market. This is a huge opportunity to know more about our customers and offer product easily than we do today.
And And, what are the challenges, from a technical or even from a kind of a structural business standpoint of rolling out open banking?
The technical one is about the security is something that we see in all geographies. So the security is the right tool of the technology. So we are looking this is the major challenge for us to pick the right tool for our security, for consentment, for everything that is about the security way to share our data. Mm-hmm. But also have the structure of the bank. So we need to look inside of the bank and reshape everything, looking for this open banking and how we will see in the next few years how our systems will support this new type of approach that we are phasing out with open banking.
So kind of looking, within the bank, APIs, you have APIs already in production. How do you kind of work with the business team to, the business users to give them an understanding what the APIs are and what they're doing for the bank already? I mean, how do you provide metrics or, provide that level of transparency for them?
Yeah, sure. The first time that we do the APIs is more about B2B. Mm-hmm. So we don't have a clear vision about the business that's inside. So as we have the open banking, we are looking for more, how can I show this for our customer that is the business guy? Because we are here because we have the business. So that's one of our concerns, that I have the APIs, I need to show them how they are using, how the ecosystem is consuming our APIs, how I'm making this type of business, how we are working with the customer data. That's where we need to be more than just tech. We need to be more business and show the business how they can leverage their business using these types of API metrics, the API usage, the day-to-day, how they are using, and this metric is very important to involve the business.
Yeah, that's that, having that visibility into what you guys, all the hard work you're doing. Now, you guys are, BNP is participating in Axway's open banking project in Brazil. I know we're very happy that you are, but it's some work on your team, you and your team's part. What do you see the value of doing that? What?
Yes, it's very important for us. It's just because we see with the open banking that when we have the vendor, like a sponsorship of this, it's very important for us. It's just because when we pick up the Axway, what they are doing about this open bank program is really knowing what were the issues of the institution. It's just because we are looking for our customers, and we need to have the tool that take this problem of our customers and take this real and shape this and make this work. And when we have this program, it's a way that we could share with Axway and know how to do it. At the first time, when I was exposed for the program, the first one is about the AO. So when we see that AO was participating of this program, and I know him with the podcast of the Mr. Open Banking, it's really important. It's just because open banking is not about the tool, the tech. It's not about the tech. And Axway was very, very accurate in this decision because he sees that technology you have everywhere. You see this side and that side, you see the technology, but you need to see more than this because open bank is more about the future, it's not about society and how this impacts us, not just our customers, but us itself. It's me, like a person in Brazil, and I'm like a person in the world. We are impacted for this.
Right.
Sometimes maybe an enterprise like Axway doing this in a lot of regions, maybe we have the open banking in a worldwide perspective. It's something, okay, it's a dream, but maybe because I have investments in United States and this is important for me. So I can see my banking my banking data in United States, I see in Brazil, I see in another country. And if I work in Europe, I can go there and take my data and go there with security. That is the main point.
Yeah, that's exciting. The whole globalization of this is very exciting. And you know, but kind of looking back at the Brazilian market, you know, you have the luxury of seeing what other geographies have done with their open banking, who have tried to do a regulation, or if it's a market-driven approach, you know, citing, let's say, the UK, who was the first ones. You know, what makes Brazil unique? What makes their open banking initiatives unique?
The first one to be ready, using the UK lessons, we see what we should do and what we should don't do. And what we should do is about the security way, is about the approach of the security in the IDC program. I see this with a very good eye. So I see this is one point that we are taking advantage of this, and thank you, UK, for this. What we see here also, we don't do silos. We are working something more bigger and more inclusive than just technology that won't be permissive for another player. So when you see open, it's about this. You need to bring everyone at the same, it's the equity. You have to make equity of technology.
Right.
And that's what we are looking for our open banking initiative here in Brazil. As a person in the work group, we are looking for this. And this is the challenge here is the size. The size in Brazil is monstrous. It's UK is it's very we are very bigger than UK when you say about the customers and you say about the geography. So here in Brazil, we are facing out something that we are looking for performance. So we need to be performanceful with our customers, because if we don't do this, it will not work. Just to know, the first phase of our open banking is just open data, and something that we are very scary in the good way, but we are scary. It's about 25 million requests. It's a lot of requests with just 5 banks in the program.
Wow.
So just 5 make more than 25 million requests. And we are not talking about the customer data. When we have the customer data, oh, okay, I see more than 100, 200, 300 per day. I see this very, very clear.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, you guys you're embarking on this, you know, it's a phased approach with Brazil, and you've done the opening the data, but you haven't been having to, you know, expose any customer data. When you do that, which is coming up soon, you know, what are your security concerns? I mean, already there's so much data flowing around. How, you know, what do you think we should do to kind of help with the security of that data?
That's something that I see why the Axway is a huge player here that should help us with this, because security is a very concern for us. And when you say about the security, and you need to be technological, you need to be tech. Your tech must be ready for the security.
Right.
And this is why we are looking for reliable platforms. It's why we have the program. So the program is important because of this. We are taking with the Axway what we should do and what is the specification here in Brazil. And the Axway is working with us to bring the right technology and do this in the right way.
Yeah, that's important. And then, you know, kind of finally, you know, wearing your you know, standards, you know, working with the open banking group, you know, how do you think open banking is going to help overall society? I mean, you alluded to that earlier with, you know, kind of reaching some people that maybe don't have access to banking, you know, to credit or to, you know, normal banking services.
Yes, here in Brazil, we have a scenario. Maybe this is a unique scenario. We have more than 40% of unbanked people And these people need to be banked, not just because they need to get profits for the bank, but it's important for them. It's important to make to involve them. We need to be here to support, and be a bank is more support the people than just do business. That is the main change here. And we have here the community banks. This type of banks can take advantage of this open banking. So if we have a good ecosystem, we can bring new players, we can reach this unbanked, and the better one, they will have access for the right product. It's the main concern here. Maybe they don't need a loan. Maybe they just need an account to make a transaction, to receive something for their business. So this is the very important thing here. We need to bring more people inside of this bank system and bring them and show to them how they take this for their lives. That is the main point.
Right. I mean, it's a kind of the overall, helping the people who the unbanked, if you will. It's really interesting. And Danilo, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for partnering with Axway in the project and kind of giving your valuable feedback on how, as we create the solution. And thank you again. I appreciate your time.
Okay, I appreciate this. It's been a very pleasure moment to be with AO, and the program is very good for us. And I see in the next few years, we are talking about this and see how good it was.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So there you have it, a story right from Brazil on how Axway is helping drive open banking in that region. But I'm proud to say that that's not all. I'm going to share with you today a sneak preview of our Axway open banking solution. Here we see Griffin Bank, a developer portal that's intended to represent what your bank might look like if you use Axway open banking. It draws on best practices from around the world to make sure that we nailed not only the right aesthetic, but the right sitemap to make sure that navigation was intuitive and clear. We've incorporated things like get started guides that help developers understand where to get around, and incorporated open banking documentation, generic enough that you can use it in your portal and not have to dig around and rewrite it, already incorporated into the solution. It doesn't stop there. If you take a look at the APIs that we've built, we took great care to present them in a clear, intuitive way that is ready to grow and can be viewed in a number of different fashions. But what makes these APIs unique is that they're not implemented as servlets. We didn't write them. All the APIs you see here are based on open banking specifications, either the UK OBIE spec or the Brazilian variant. However, this is a global initiative for us at Axway, and we absolutely intend to adopt additional open banking standards as they grow around the world. If you drill down on a particular API, you'll see that you aren't immediately thrown into an arcane Swagger document. You get a product page because APIs are in fact products. But if you want to dig deeper and see detailed documentation, that's available for you as well. When it comes to the method, that's available for you as well. Of course, you can go look at the specifications and you can call the methods. But to do so, I'd have to sign in and register, which you're just going to have to hold your breath for. We've included additional features like review capabilities, as well as org registration, live chat, and several other unique elements. Let me show you one in particular. Every developer portal out there has a section that you could call the art of the possible. It's intended to give TPPs an idea of what it would be like to integrate with your bank. But a lot of banks come to this part of their portal a little late and they rush. And as a result, they end up making one of two mistakes. Either they'll build something that is very clear and attractive visually and shows some screen flows, but it'll be utterly fake. It'll be a screen recording or something built by a marketing agency to mimic what screens might look like. The problem with that is a developer is going to know that it's fake and have no expectation that that's what the real experience is going to be like. Some banks go to the other extreme. They'll give you a GitHub URL and some credentials and a certificate and say, go call these APIs. Well, that might be fine for a highly technical developer, but it completely alienates business users who are really trying to get a sense of the flow from a customer experience point of view. At Axway, we tried to bring those two approaches together and do something a little different, and we think a little better. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to open our financial planner demo. Now here you see a PFM app, the kind of app that would allow you to see multiple accounts in one place. Here we see a couple of accounts. Here we see a list of transactions. And our user, Antonio Oliveira, is going to use open banking APIs to add another bank account to his aggregator, MoneyPenny. As you can see, it's very intuitive and clear what's happening. You see a smartphone, an app is running inside the smartphone. However, as we go through the demo, when you see the API call happen, rest assured, it is completely real. In fact, it is calling the very API that I showed you when we were looking at the catalog. And it is doing so using a call that is MTLS, PXE, OAuth, using a FAPI security profile. So although it is on the one hand intuitive and clear to any kind of user, it is also completely real and an accurate representation of what a TPP would go through when integrating with your bank. With that, let's begin. I'm going to go ahead and hit start, and I'm going to do something amazing. I'm taking my hands off the keyboard because this thing is on autopilot. I could drive it, but I kind of like that it's on autopilot. Right now, it's searching for Griffin Bank, our sandbox that represents the bank, which Antonio is granting authorization to share his data. That redirect represented control, switching from the app to Griffin Bank. These consent flows are based on UK open banking best practices for consent. Once consent is granted, we flip back to MoneyPenny, and you see that the accounts which Antonio consented to share now show up inside the app, and the list of transactions are drawn via our API through the MySQL database using an MTLS, PXE, OAuth-based call with a FAPI security profile. Attractive, intuitive, and yet also completely real. This represents how Axway approaches the challenge of open banking a little differently than others. We think we are putting developers first, and that's what makes us unique. Although it's still early days in our Brazilian journey, early reactions have been outstanding. Most everyone who has seen the solution has said that it genuinely does solve the challenges they're facing in implementing open banking. One of the quotes that's become our favorite is from Carlos Kazumisao, a senior director from GFT, who's actively working on the Brazilian standard in lockstep with the regulator. He says the combination of Axway's hybrid integration platform and the developer experience in Axway Open Banking will shorten the gap between developers and business. I love this quote because really that's what open banking is all about. Bringing business stakeholders who are trying to reinvent how the bank works and makes money together with technical developers who understand the needs of those trying to use APIs to build brilliant new digital experiences. We love this quote from Carlos, and we thank him for sharing his feedback on our solution. We can build such an effective solution because Axway powers financial ecosystems all over the world. Over $2 trillion worth of transactions are processed through our solutions on a daily basis, often through systems that nobody else even wants to touch, like file transfer. We work with 3 out of 4 major credit card providers, over 250 US banks, and we've been doing it for decades, embedding ourselves in the banking system all over the world. This gives us a unique perspective to tackle the challenge of open banking in a more effective way than our competitors. So where do we go from here? Axway really does view open banking as a beginning, the thin end of a much larger wedge, a transformation that is taking place not limited to financial services, but one that will inevitably spread to all sectors of the economy. We call this transformation open everything. Already you're starting to see open banking turn into open finance, In Europe, we're expecting another round of regulation that's going to extend the regime to cover different kinds of financial products. In more mature regions like Australia, you're starting to see open finance colliding with the open data movement, what some people call OpenX, what we at Axway call open everything. The cool thing about open everything is that it can be read a couple of different ways. You can read it as a noun, open everything, all of these open systems and their open APIs, but you can also read it as a verb, a challenge to all of those closed systems out there to open everything. Tear down your walled gardens, open up your data, let it be free so it can be remixed, reused, recombined to generate entirely new kinds of value, the likes of which today we couldn't even imagine. That is the digital future that Axway calls open everything. Thank you for watching, and I sincerely hope you enjoy the rest of Axway Summit.